Hi, this is Ray, and welcome to Northside Democracy for America. We believe the largest grassroots political organization in Illinois. As previously mentioned in our last meeting, we normally meet at the second Wednesday of the month at Chief O'Neill's. But things remain different as we continue to stay put in the safety of our homes. For the time being, this new way of communication is our new normal for a while as we try to keep ourselves informed on how to navigate the current political landscape. I want to go ahead and give a huge shout out to Hard Lens Media, who is helping us out. Hello to Jerome, who is producing the show. Sophia will be our other host for tonight's meeting, asking intelligent questions and keeping us on our toes. There we go.
Did you know that was your job, Sophia? I hope you did.
Not know that.
We want to recognize everyone else in the steering committee. There's Mary, EJ, Matt, Kevin, Mary Claire, Joe, and Melissa. So we're all here. Welcome. Good to see you all. Normally, you become a voting member by attending 3 meetings and 3 activities for endorsed candidates. However, the meeting part of the equation has been frozen at your status in March. Since we can't have face-to-face meetings, we are giving activity credit to people who do wellness checks through their ward or state rep office and who work on the Biden campaign and our other endorsed campaigns. The online auction is taking place right now still. So go to northsidedfa.com and there's some neat packages out there like Cubs tickets or
we'll give you a rundown at the end of the evening.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. So, Sophia?
Yeah, we're doing things a little bit differently. We're starting off things just a little differently. We'll hear from a couple testimonials, 2 testimonials that we didn't get to show you during the most recent fundraiser, and that's from candidate from the 3rd Congressional District, my old boss, Marie Newman. We'll also be hearing from Deb Shore, the Commissioner of the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. Today, we'll be interviewing Yvette Simpson, CEO of our parent organization, Democracy for America, and we'll be hearing from Kelly Cassidy, the state rep for 14th District. She's going to talk about some policies as well as best practices for vote by mail. And we also have a video today for the Illinois House 47th District candidate, Jennifer Zordani.
So let's hear our testimonials.
Hello, NDFA. It's Marie Newman. I am the Democratic nominee for Illinois 3, and I am here to say thank you again. I can never say thank you enough. We ran this race together and we won this time. I'm so pleased to be here to say congratulations on all of the great work that you've done. But most importantly, I have to ask you to work even harder. We have 3 months to go to save the democracy. And while it looks very good, we can't let our guard down. We have to jump in a little harder and a little bit more frequently. So if everybody can give a few more extra hours on all candidates, we would really appreciate it. We can get this job done. We can win the presidency, bring back the Senate, and keep the House very robust and strong. But it really is up to you. And I do mean that. Every individual counts. So thank you again for all of the amazing work that you've done. Keep going, keep being you, and get out there today. Thanks so much and have a great day.
Hi, everybody. I'm Deborah Shore. I'm a member of the Board of Commissioners of the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. That's the agency that treats sewage and manages stormwater for Chicago and 130 other municipalities in Cook County. And I'm also a supporter and longtime member of Northside Democracy for America. In fact, I believe I was the very first candidate that Northside DFA endorsed when I first ran for office, beginning in the summer of 2005, because I was involved in the progenitor of Democracy for America, namely Dean for America. And it was exhilarating and exciting to meet so many progressive people from all over the city who wanted to work together to help bring power to the people. And Howard Dean said, if you want to change our party and our country, run for office. So I decided to give it a try, and I became the first person in 20 years to run for the Water Reclamation District with any kind of conservation credentials. And let me tell you why I think Northside DFA is so important to elected officials and to candidates, including candidates for governor, other statewide offices, for state rep, for state senator, and even the Water Reclamation District. It's because you, the members and supporters of DFA, do the work. You're out there with boots on the ground, helping collect signatures to get candidates on the ballot, passing literature at train stations and polling places and all over to help spread the word about candidates. In fact, Nick Norris and I were out on a very bitterly cold February morning in 2006 at the Fullerton L station, and we were passing lit, and he's such a trooper and been by my side ever since. And I came in first out of a field of 9 candidates, even though I wasn't endorsed by the Democratic Party of Cook County, but I had Northside DFA at my back, and I've been a winner ever since. I can't thank you enough for doing the work to change our culture, to change our democracy. I'm with you all the way.
Great to hear from some elected folks.
Okay, it's time for Yvette. And we welcome you to the show.
Hey everybody, how you all doing?
Good.
And you all from the great state of Ohio, your neighbor, not that far away.
So, do you want to talk about yourself for just a little bit to introduce yourself to the viewers?
Yeah, I'd love to do that. Hey, Northside DFA. I am Yvette Simpson, CEO of Democracy for America. I've served in that capacity formally since January of 2019. Before that, I served as the federal elections manager for DFA as a contract hire, actually, during 2018, which, as you know, was a really big, important year for Congress. And so I got to work with amazing candidates across the country, helping bring home wins to Congress. And as you know, helped elect the most female, the most diverse, and the most progressive class of Congress members that we've had in our history. So after I finished that year, DFA, Jim Dean specifically asked me to come on as CEO. And so I did that, serving as the first female chief executive that DFA has ever had. So since 2019, I've been serving in this role and have been really proud to do the work of leading our organization, our 16-year-old organization. And I think that's really something important to note. We're one of the oldest progressive PACs in the country. And we are one of the largest coordinated PACs in the country. So the fact that we came out of, as Deb said earlier, you know, we came out of Dean for America. The fact that we're still around 16 years later and are heralded as one of the major progressive organizations in the movement is really great. So these days, what I do is I serve as not only kind of the chief executive, making sure the organization has resources, that we do great work. I'm also kind of the chief spokesperson for the organization. I also bottom line all of our endorsements. And, you know, just the things that CEOs do. I also serve as a contributor with ABC News. So some of you may have seen me on This Week with George Stephanopoulos, Nightline GMA, and then doing DNC, RNC coverage most recently. So I do all of those jobs, and I love the work that we get to do at DFA.
Wow, that's so exciting. And then you mentioned that DFA has been around for 16 years. NDFA began in 2005, so 15. So
the year after we started.
After y'all started, that's exciting. We're all still going on, still going strong. So that's
very needed. I think the progressive movement is just going to continue to need more and more organizations like ours. So,
just to dive into some questions, I was curious more so about process. Process around DFA selection for endorsing candidates. Can you talk about that process? What are some guidelines to your process for endorsing candidates?
yes. So we get, we have the 50-state strategy, which Howard created us with. And so we get hundreds and hundreds of applications a year. And we have a 5-step process for evaluating candidates. We have a public questionnaire that candidates fill out, which is available publicly, and we encourage candidates to make that available to their supporters and have supporters click that link so we can get a count of their supporters and see the kind of support that they have. We have a private questionnaire, which digs more into the details of how the campaign is being run. We do a very deep dive, what we call a vet of each candidate. So we have staffers whose job is to go in and find everything out we can know about this candidate, deep dive, and make a recommendation about whether that candidate should be evaluated for interview. Then we do an interview, and usually we do one, sometimes we do two, because sometimes we talk to the candidate and then we need to talk to the team, which may have more details of the state of the race and the details about how it's being run. And then we have a formal vote of our endorsement committee, which is a subset of our staff that works specifically on campaigns that does a vote. And then after that, we, of course, alert the candidate, and we announce that person. Now, in this vetting stage and in the public stage, we talk to a lot of people. We talk to our members who are in the area. We talk to our supporters, some of our donors. We talk to elected leaders and people that would know these people, would know the area. We do quite a bit of investigation during either the early application or the vet. And frankly, that's where we get a lot of our referrals, either from local groups like NDFA, or from local, like Marie Newman, who was just on the video, has referred several candidates to us in the past. Deb Shore is one of the members that I always call. She's one of our national members and supporters that I always call to get names. And then, of course, you guys often in our other groups in the Chicago, Illinois area will also send us recommendations. And so a lot of times, we will get an application and we're like, who is this person? And we like to make sure that we know. Now, the strategy around how we decide on those endorsements is much bigger than any one candidate, though. So we have a national strategy around how we're going to use resources in any one year, what we want to see happen. And we take a lot in deciding where we're going to invest resources and where we're going to endorse. But the individual process is a 5-step process, like I just described to you.
Gotcha. Now, you mentioned there's an endorsement committee.
Mm-hmm.
How are the people, since that's the crux of the whole thing, how are the people selected for the endorsement committee and why?
The endorsement committee is an internal group of our staff that works on campaigns. And and these are people who have been working on campaigns for years. They're very experienced folks. So as you can imagine, if you're working at DFA, and this includes folks from our campaigns committee, folks from our comms committee, folks from our finance committee, our chairman as well. Our strategic advisor also weighs in there. And so we have an internal process for deciding whether we're going to support a candidate or not based on all of those things taken together. So if you were to see our endorsement committee, you would see that we have all of these documents that we've evaluated, spreadsheets, recommendations from other people, and then we make a determination about whether we're going to endorse a candidate from that committee.
Gotcha. You have a wide variety of positions endorsed. It's amazing, from school board to Congress. How in the world do you figure out who to endorse and what? It's just quite a interesting selection.
We are quite proud of our one. I think thing that you should know about our role in the national movement is our process is heralded by other organizations, and so often we will even have other national organizations saying, who are you supporting? And if you're supporting them, we will too. So we have that kind of relationship with organizations like the Congressional Progressive PAC, Working Families Party, and others. And we, of course, have a dual relationship that way. Sometimes they'll send us candidates that they're thinking about as well. But our process is pretty well honed. What we do is at the top of the year, or really, I'm starting to do it now, we start to develop a strategic plan for the year. Where are we going to invest our energy? Where do we need to make inroads? And we try to make a plan around, okay, this year, for instance, the Senate seats, the U.S. Senate seats are a priority. Taking back the House was a big priority in 2018, and we always do down ticket races, as you can imagine, throughout the country. And so we try to develop a strategy around kind of where we're focusing. We did a multi-state strategy, for instance, in Virginia under our Purple to Blue plan, where we did 4 cycles in Virginia in order to flip the Virginia House and Senate. As you know, we accomplished that strategy last year, and we have a Purple to Blue plan that is in 6 states now. So these are state legislatures that are now red, and we work in a multi-cycle fashion to endorse and support candidates so we can flip those legislative seats. We have a criminal justice slate, right? So we have candidates who are running for prosecutor, judge, sheriff, you name it. And we look specifically for amazing progressives there. We have a mayor slate, right? We're looking for strong mayors, progressive mayors. And so that's kind of the way we look at it. And then every single time I decide that I've got a very solid strategy, an amazing candidate pops up and I'm like, we can't miss that candidate, right? And so that sometimes will get us into, we had one year where we were doing a lot of justice of the peace races. And we just got a lot of referrals for justices of the peace in the Southwest. So we try to remain nimble, understanding that we don't have unlimited resources and that we really do need to focus. But we get candidates all across the board. And what we're doing really is, one, recognizing progressive talent is needed every single place. And then we're building a bench, of folks who may eventually go on and do other things. They may start in school board and then run for council. They may win council and become a mayor. They may become mayor, and you never know. We've seen that progression. Yeah. We've seen that happen over the course of our time. So,
how big is the staff?
Our staff is now 15. We had 24. I think 15 is too small, so we're probably going to do some hiring next year. But when Howard started DFA, he was proud about the fact that he wanted our organization to be 9 people. So we're actually larger than Howard started with and larger than he ever wanted us to be. But the work is great. So we think we're a little lean now. We're going to hopefully get up to, I think 18, 19 is a good number for us as far as staff is concerned. And that includes 2 amazing fellows. We just started our DFA fellowship program, which is a 1-year fellow for recent graduates and young professionals who are starting out so that we can train them in all the different aspects of our work. And then the hope is that they go on and do great things, because DFA has a long legacy of interns who are now doing great things. And we've had an internship program since our founding.
Awesome. And the other question that I have is, obviously, mentioning the elephant in the room, COVID is happening. The pandemic is affecting a lot of people, a lot of lives. And I'm just curious as to how DFA is going to approach voter engagement, like what the voter engagement strategy is for this upcoming election. And if you can give me some insight into that.
Yeah, I'm hoping to have a big announcement for you guys next week. But we are launching our Protect America's Vote campaign, which is a 13-state strategy. We still are endorsing candidates across the country, but this is focused on 13 states that we need to win the Senate, that are battleground states for the presidency, and that will be key for combating gerrymandering going forward. And so we have 13 states, and we are doing a multi-faceted campaign starting next week. We'll start doing recruitment for this, of text canvassing, text banking, phone banking, and we're piloting video canvassing. As a strategy to combat the fact that door-to-door is not quite available yet. Right. Yeah, so we have a technology that we learned about from a partner of ours who tested it in a very small form that had no intention and no desire to scale it. So we thought, why not? Right, in a year. So basically the video canvassing pilot, we're doing the pilot now with about 50 organizers to test the technology. And that would allow candidates, volunteers to basically knock on someone's door and then be in their house on a video, not knock on the door, but it would be we would send them a text message and say, would you like to meet with us to talk about our candidate, or would you like to meet with our candidate? They click a link and then they're brought into a video canvas environment where we can talk to them directly. And so we're going to be releasing that in small form because we want to test it with some of our candidates this season. So we're going to be looking for well-trained organizers who are used to doing doors and used to engaging voters to help us roll that technology out this fall. So we anticipate that we're going to be reaching quite a few people. And the good news about that is we're layering that in those 13 states with candidates. We have down tickets, so it'll benefit them. We're going to be having conversations via text and via phone, making sure people have a plan to vote, making sure people know. We have all the research in every single state, knowing how to make their vote, following up and making sure they actually voted, following up and making sure their votes actually are going to count, because we have all of the information in each of these states around who's collecting those ballots. And so this is a multi-phase process that we are investing in this year. And it was the way that we thought was best for us to invest in this very, very critical election season. And so we're excited about this. We're going to be recruiting members and other partners who want to sign on. So we've already got a few partners that want to sign on to help us engage with voters in places that are impacted, of course, and can't be reached other ways.
Now, you talked about Protect America's Vote campaign. How
it's
are
on our website right now. You can check it out.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I have like multiple questions from the Republicans' main quest is to knock people off the rolls and put fear into people so that they don't want to come out and vote, or they're just so just totally fed up with the whole process.
Yeah.
How are we working with the individual chapters like us and everybody else to try and make sure the strategy doesn't work?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing, so DFA is a part of a lot of coalitions that are combating disinformation in the campaign across the country, the national campaign. We're a part of a campaign that's building messaging around Election Day and what people should expect on Election Day. And we are happy to any local group that wants to be a part of getting those talking points and sharing that messaging. We are all about it. And like I said, we're a part of a much bigger conglomeration of folks who are gathering information, polling data. Like I said, we got a whole team just on disinformation, and there's a lot of that going out and combating those messages. And so if you guys are having voter engagement, if you're talking to voters and you want to be able to have that information, please reach out to us and let us know. And we'd be happy to share that with you all.
We will. Since the pandemic, we haven't missed a meeting, I think, in 15 years. I think I have that correct, Ray?
Awesome.
Yes.
And despite the pandemic, we aren't meeting in person, but we, have gone digital. And just last week, we had another meeting with just our members to kind of check in on them and how they're doing. And so we've really done a lot to make sure that we continue to engage our members and continue working with candidates to support candidates. So I'd love to touch base offline.
Absolutely. And as you know, we're supporting some candidates in your area. We'd love to talk with you about that. And again, I know you guys always have a very full plate. If you guys have some folks who want to be involved in our text phone or video, text and phone banking program and video canvassing program, let us know. We'd be happy to feed you in.
For sure. Thank you so much, Yvette. We appreciate you taking time to talk with us today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you guys for all of your hard work all these years. You guys are doing great. So proud of you all and just happy to join you. And hopefully we can stay in touch.
For sure.
Yes. We
all right.
definitely need to work together.
Absolutely. Teamwork, dreamwork.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Now, for our next guest, who will be Kelly Cassidy.
Yes, state rep of the 14th district.
Hi, y'all.
Welcome, Kelly.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's great you're here. So
it's good to be here. And my cat's playing gravity games, so hopefully.
I got my cat with me too. So.
My cat's just sleeping right now.
So we want to
flatter us, Kitty.
Yeah. You want to just have a quick couple sentences about who you are and what you represent?
Yeah, I am State Representative Kelly Cassidy. Welcome to my dining room. I am the state representative of the 14th district, which includes the Chicago neighborhoods of Edgewater, Andersonville, Rogers Park, and a little bit of Evanston. I've been in office since 2011, and I'm just very happy to be here. Very lucky to represent such a progressive district that allows me to unapologetically represent these issues that are so important to all of us.
Now,
I guess I should also say I'm also the 49th Ward Democratic Committee person. I kind of forget to say that sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
a lot of hats.
cool. That's a big task.
It's all about the hats.
Yes, yes. Trying to get people on board and the whole business. I know. The fair tax, the other side is really throwing out a lot of misinformation, especially saying like, because of the fair tax, the state legislature will be able to raise your taxes. Well, obviously
newsflash, we can do that whenever we want now.
Exactly. And the one thing is this little small business person saying, oh my gosh, they can raise my taxes. And it makes no sense. Do you want to talk about maybe what do you think of the Republican strategies and how we can get the truth out there in terms of how important the fair tax is to our state and the finances of balancing our budget for the next 20 years?
Absolutely. I mean, we have needed this for a very, very long time. Our system is not functional or sustainable as a flat tax. And so this has been critically important for decades. That said, it's never been more important than now. The way that the Rauner years and the budget standoff years just decimated our systems is, I cannot overemphasize the harm that's been done to our safety net, to our healthcare systems. We are going to continue to see the impacts of those harms in the years to come. I think that we're still peeling the layers of that onion back.
Oh my gosh. Higher education was decimated.
Higher education, right? Like, I mean, I could go on all day about all the different things, and you know, and I had a kid starting college as we were going through that. And it was really fascinating to watch, and you know, we'd go tour campuses, and I'd end up in these conversations with them about what was going on and how they were managing. And so, yes, you know, for all of the things that matter to us, we passed the evidence-based education funding model for our K-12.
Right.
But unless we have that added revenue to continue to infuse into the system to bring everybody up to a level playing field, we're not going to be able to. The model is great, but it only works if you implement it. And so all of these pieces are important. And you know, this cycle is a challenging time to do it, obviously. You know, I've talked a lot about the fact that I've spent, you know, the better part of my adult life working to get this on the ballot. And now here we are, and we are literally in an everything that can go wrong has situation. You know, all of us who are so used to door-to-door canvassing and the traditional ways of campaigning, you know, we had our moment, you know, where we realized right before the primary, we had to stop, we had to pull back and keep our volunteers safe. And now we're heading into this election with the same. And I, you know, some of the talk about the electronic outreach, people are getting used to it. We're adapting very quickly, but it will make a difference in our ability to reach voters in our traditional ways. And, you know, so as we move towards this, and as those of us who live in districts like mine, like many of us on the North Side, we play a critical role this cycle, in particular as it relates to the fair tax. Because unlike many other situations where our vote in our district is just about our district, we have the opportunity to provide the margin that's needed to win with the fair tax, because we have to get so many votes and because we're challenged in so many other areas. This is critical. We have to vote in huge numbers in districts like ours. to be able to get this over the finish line. I see someone asking about Madigan and whether his stepping down may make the fair tax easier to pass. I mean, I will say, I know that as I talk to some of my colleagues, when they're on the doors or when they're talking to constituents, it's being referred to as the Madigan tax. And so, you know, in some of those districts, it might make a difference. I don't know. You know, I've called for him to resign because I believe in our chamber, I believe in our body, and I believe that we can do better. And we need leadership that can take us in that direction. And this is one of the reasons. It's certainly not the only one. And you know, is the damage done? I don't know. You know, whether his resigning would be the critical difference or not, I honestly can't tell you. But, you know, we do need all hands on deck. We need everybody to get their early voting, their vote by mail ballot in. We need everybody to make sure that everyone they know is doing the same. And get the truth out about the fair tax. We've been working with Network 49, recruiting volunteers to phone bank every Tuesday night for the fair tax, and really focusing on that in a big way, because it's so critically important for folks to know that this is, in particular in districts where there's not a lot going on, right? I'm unopposed in the fall. There's not a ton going on in terms of individual races on the North Lakefront, but that ability to make the difference on the fair tax is huge. And we cannot underestimate our role there.
Yeah. So really switching a little bit, but is about voting. And earlier this year, many states had experienced longer wait times for mail-in ballots to be counted. What can you tell us about what we expect in this upcoming election of counting mail-in ballots, and what does Illinois do that's unique compared to most other states?
I don't know how to answer that second question because I don't have other states. But
for instance, in Illinois, we count the ballots when they come in. So by the voting day, all the mail-in ballots that have come in will be counted. Versus many states,
they can be processed. Yes, we passed our law. And I think other states have done that for this year as well. And this is a one-time thing, the way that we've sort of expanded access to vote by mail. In our truncated session in May, we passed a law around vote by mail to make sure that every voter from the 2018 elections to now will automatically be mailed an application, a vote by mail application. Oh, wow. We've also put into place several steps to make sure that folks know that their vote is secure, that their ballot is secure, including for folks who are concerned about the mail in particular, we'll be able to drop off our completed ballots at any early voting site or at the downtown super site or at the office. There'll be secured lock boxes that folks can drop their ballots off in and not have to worry about the mail. I mean, all of us have been involved in close races where the late trickle is like
yes.
Every day. How many ballots came in today? You know,
yeah.
And so we don't want that to be our reality. You know, we want to be done as quickly as we can be in that regard.
Talk to us about. Oh, go ahead, Sophia.
No worries. I'm really glad you brought that up because. So I moved here from Indiana, and obviously I follow Indiana politics. Hell, I follow Illinois politics, and just all over everywhere. And the ballots where I'm from just took a long time to be counted and come in. And so you found out several weeks after the election. Is that something? And this is just personally speaking. Are we anticipating not knowing on election day who won?
I think it's too soon to tell, to be honest with you. And I think it varies by race. I mean, I worked on a race in the last cycle that ended up being decided in the recount by 43 votes, and she's running again. And, you know, we're joking, we're going for 44 this time, so that we can win this time. But you know, I think it's too soon to tell in terms of whether on the larger races there will be a delay. That usually is when it comes down to a handful of votes or a recount situation. Yeah. And the state board and the county board and the city board of elections have all been working really hard to be prepared to make it as seamless as possible.
Yeah. Now, there is the Cook County non-city voting process, and then there's the city, so that gets a little confusing sometimes. But in terms of the mail-in voting process, are they both the same thing, or are there any differences between the two? And are the dates any different?
The dates are not different because that's set by state law. And so, the first ballots are going to be mailed out on September 24th, and that is statewide. Every elections authority is doing that. And so it's the things that are different are that each jurisdiction has the ability to determine the best way to do the secure drop boxes. So, here in the city, we have several early voting sites. So that's the easiest, naturalist way to, makes the most sense. It's where we are, it's where we've got staff, all of that. And I know that, for example, Skokie moved their location, and so people are having to be notified about their new location. So I think there's going to be stuff like that in non-city areas. But even in the city, we're trying to figure out all of the polling places to make sure that we have safe polling places. So folks should know, no matter what you're used to in the before times, to double check the location of your polling place if you're choosing to vote in person on election day or deliver your ballot in person on election day. Double check and make sure that you don't waste a trip and end up having to go a couple blocks out of your way. It's always going to be nearby, but for example, we have several polling places here in the 49th ward that are in senior buildings, and that's not appropriate or safe under these circumstances. And so we're making sure that they're being moved to the schools because it's going to be a state holiday, so no kids are going to be in school. Either schools or park facilities that are easier to keep people safe in. Similarly, we used to use nursing homes. We're not using any nursing homes either. So having to refigure for that while at the same time ensuring that no single place is too overcrowded. So be sure to double check. You're going to get lots of, you'll get mail from the election authority, but you'll also, in our case, you'll get a flyer on your door with the location of your polling place. Ordinarily, and I'm guilty of this, I would walk out of my door back when Joe was the committeeman, and there'd be a flyer on my door, and it would be the same flyer I had every year, and I didn't even really look at it because I knew where I was going. This year, look, double check. If you plan on voting in person, double check.
Good idea. And then you mentioned poll workers. Where do folks go if they want to sign up to be a poll worker for either the city or the county?
I'm going to get you a link for that we can put in the thing. That we are actively recruiting poll workers, and thank you for saying that, because that is something that became a challenge in the primary as well. We had election judges who were concerned about their safety. Most election judges historically are older, and so we have a huge need for folks who are at lower risk. And I see time is flying, so I'm going to be really, really quick and find this, and I'm going to try to multitask while I look this up and get the how to be an election judge.
Well,
What is that, Ray?
So it's chicagoelections.gov is where you go. And there's the button right on the front page, volunteer, sign up to be an election judge.
sounds good.
And that through that you can become a poll worker either at early voting sites, at a precinct in your area, and that is a paid position.
Yeah. What is the Get Out the Vote plan that you have this year that's different from the previous years because of COVID-19?
So a lot of what we are focusing on in the 49th ward is chasing those vote by mail ballots. You will get, when you sign up, if you put your email address in, there is tracking that they will give you, letting you know it's in the mail on the way to you. We've received it. And so you'll be able to know that, but we're also taking a look and making sure that our GOTV program is reaching out to everybody who has requested a vote by mail ballot and reminding them to get those in. Because again, we're a whole bunch of field beasts, and none of us are allowed to do our thing. So it's a big change for us.
Yeah.
So true.
Sophia?
What is your voting plan for this year, Kelly?
This is a very weird thing for me. Voting for me is kind of this nostalgic, romantic thing. My dad always walked me. I would walk to the polls with him, and he would tell his arrival story. And he was an Irish guy, so it was always really funny. And I'd learn a new detail of his trip over every time. And I used to walk my boys with me to vote with me back when they thought that was cool. They're teenagers now, so nothing is cool about what I do. And I would tell them their grandfather's arrival story and talk about his commitment to our process and the importance of being engaged. I'm political because of where I come from. So I have always been an election day voter. Like it just feels, it's a visceral thing for me. I love being there on election day. And in the primary, I did early vote. So I will likely just do. I did put in my application, and I will return it at the early vote site as soon as it comes in, which will be very, very weird for me. But worst case scenario, get that vote in on day one, just in case you get hit by a bus, and you can still take Trump out on your way out. As my friend Aiden always tells me, that's why he early votes, because just in case he dies between the day he votes and election day, he can go out knowing his vote went in. Somebody asks, are any of my kids voting age this year? Yes, Josh voted in his first primary in March, and he'll be voting in November. We turned in our vote by mail applications together. I guess that's the closest thing to walking to the poll and telling Daddy's arrival story that we've got.
I love that.
He was a member of the Yang Gang.
Oh, a lot of younger people were.
House
Yeah.
divided. I'm seeing your.
Indeed. I know, and I have not got my new hoodie hasn't come yet, but just really comfy hoodie.
It looks like you're wearing a Warren.
Yeah, I am. I'm wearing my Warren hoodie from the primary.
Yes. Oh,
That's
yeah,
our
we all like Warren too. Yeah. So we have just a couple minutes left. I think we're done with talking about voting, unless you could think of anything else, Kelly. We could move on to policies.
voteforjudges.org. Do your homework on in particular, retention judges. There's a new PAC out that's doing, and Ed Mullen, I think, is here, and he's been part of it. But they are evaluating the retention judges. This is something that's a pet peeve. It's been in my cross since day one in office, because we very, very, very rarely fail to retain a judge, regardless of how bad they are. And there are a few this cycle that are problematic that we want to make sure that we get removed from the bench, because the power of our judiciary is too great to just let it be a lifetime appointment here. So please do your background research on Vote for Judges. That will have good information. And I can't remember Ed Mullen's new group that he's part of, and I feel bad about that, but they are specifically focusing on the retention stuff. And that will be an excellent resource that we'll be sharing widely.
Yeah, I know there's at least one judge, and I can't remember that judge's name, who may not want to vote to retain. So
there are two that are in what they refer to as judge jail. They're in some administrative function. One of them, starts with an A. It's not in my brain. Who has had some serious issues, and the other I can't remember. But there are two that are definitely problematic, and I think they're still in the process of doing the rest of the evaluation. As a committeeman, I'm part of the process that will vote for the slate.
Right.
And I'm really hoping Judicial Accountability PAC. Thank you, Joe. And so we as the county party, it is my hope, are going to, break from tradition and not do a full endorsement of everyone seeking retention, because I think that the days of that are well past.
They should be, yes.
Okay. Absolutely.
So, okay, I think, Sophia, are we pretty much done? On a little side note, I did send you something about the marijuana dispensary licenses, maybe ideas, and because I know that's a really big thing on your website.
Yeah.
So
It is. It's a big part of the work I've done over the last 6 years, and folks are very, very frustrated. And I see time, so we can do this another time if we want.
yes.
But I understand the frustration, and I'm hopeful for some fixes. Well, and I'll leave it at that for now.
Yes, sounds good. We'll talk later. Mm-hmm.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, as I mentioned earlier in the beginning, we are going to play another video. This is from the Illinois House 47th District candidate, Jennifer Zordani.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Zordani. I'm running for Illinois House District 47, which includes the communities of Elmhurst, Oak Brook, Hinsdale, Clarendon Hills, which is where I'm from, and Western Springs, Westmont, parts of Downers Grove as well. Thank you for taking a moment to learn about me as a candidate. I am the Democratic candidate, and I am working to represent the residents in our district. We do overlap with certain of the congressional districts, including Sean Caston in the 6th District and Mike Quigley in the 5th District, Marie Newman, who's running for the 3rd District, and Raja Krishnamurthy. So thank you for taking a moment to learn about our campaign. We have issues that matter to our residents regardless of their income level or who they are in terms of race or gender or age. We want affordable health care in this district, and the current representative did not support prescription drug affordability. We passed a bill last session where we capped the price of insulin for families least able to afford it, and she didn't support that. I'm running for the people who understand that prescription drug costs are out of control and we can do better for our Illinois residents. I'm also running to continue fighting for strong public education in our state. My district has great schools and our residents appreciate that. But we also know that property taxes across the board in Illinois are too high, and the state has to do more to contribute to school funding. So one of my goals is to connect people to their local school board so they understand how the decisions are made about funding their schools, and to fight for property tax relief in any way that we can. This is also going to help our seniors. Seniors should not be priced out of their homes. They should be able to stay in their homes and stay near their kids and their grandkids. And I'd like to see our kids and grandkids be able to go to Illinois public colleges and universities on a more affordable level. We have a lot of work to do to get our kids staying in our state and learning at an affordable cost so they leave school with the ability to plan for their futures without being burdened by crippling debt. We have a lot to do in Illinois, and I'm really big on Illinois. I recognize that we have residents who exemplify the Midwestern values of decency and drive, that we want to work hard and we want to be paid well for the work that we do. We have resources here in Illinois like no other state has. We've got great water resources. We don't have fights with other states about water accessibility. We don't have natural disasters like we see on our coastlines. We're a transportation hub. We have great businesses here, whether it's manufacturing or service, and we have to continue to build for that. I'm really strong on Illinois. I'm tired of the negative talk. I'm here to work for the people in my district, to promote Illinois, to work on the issues that are really tough issues, but there's no reason to divide us. We understand the fight for equality is an ongoing fight, and there's always more we can do. And we understand that we want good policing. We don't have to choose between the two. So I'm not here to divide our communities. I'm not here to make people feel they have to make tough choices on those types of issues. Those are the things we can work on together. I'm hoping to win, to represent our district, and I could use your help. If you have the time or ability to phone bank for our team, to come out and drop literature, we can use all sorts of volunteerism. We write postcards. Our goal is to reach residents however we can during this pandemic. Thank you very much for the opportunity to say hello. I'm Jennifer Zordani. I live in Clarendon Hills, and I'm proud to be running to represent our residents here in the western suburbs. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, we just heard from Jennifer Zordani. She was not able to make it today. She had a couple commitments, but she was able to make this video and share it with us. So please take this as an endorsement, or not as an endorsement, but as a consideration for endorsement. The other things I want to share before we sign off and hear from Joe are next month's meeting is on October 14th. Tentative guest speakers will be determined soon, and including some of our endorsed candidates, so please stay tuned. On that note, I also want to thank all the members that showed up for the Zoom call that we did. It was great hearing from you. You all had great feedback. It was great to check in with everybody, see how you're all doing. It's just great connecting with y'all, even if it's virtually. And then just as a nice reminder, the steering committee elections have been put off until we meet face-to-face again. But please make sure that you report your voting member activity to northsidedfa.com. We want to thank Yvette Simpson and Kelly Cassidy for participating in this meeting and for your insightful information. And keep a lookout for the emails, okay?
Yep.
Joe?
Okay, so I'm sort of backstage pulling a lot of information together as the meeting goes on, so it's always fun to be fielding the Facebook comments as they come in. Just a few little things. First of all, I want to go all the way back really quickly to Deb Shore mentioning one of NDFA's longest term members, Nick Norris. And we want to give a shout out because Nick is going to be moving back to the East Coast after years being in Chicago. He has been one of our most loyal members. He has worked on so many campaigns, like Deb said. And Deb, as she said, was one of our first campaigns. I think the first campaign that won that we endorsed. So thank you, Nick. Hopefully you're watching, but you will certainly be missed, and have fun and good luck out there in Vermont. Another note about a former member, and this is a little more serious, and Melissa Lindbergh gave shouting out, or actually a DFA staffer named Ruby Reed. She is in Oregon, and apparently, unfortunately, her home was caught in one of those horrific fires that we've been watching. And there is a GoFundMe page that has been set up for her, and you can see that link right now. So if you would like to help her, and you can, that would be wonderful. Melissa says it's her cats, her partner, and her bees. But apparently they're fine, but they obviously need some help. And obviously for anybody that's got friends out there, because wow, it is pretty hellacious out there. Next, you heard me last month, both there and the benefit, hustling the silent auction. And as we mentioned earlier, as I'm trying to multitask here, we did very well. We want to thank everyone that contributed, but guess what? You still have a chance. We actually have a couple items that are still available. And instead of being kind of an auction, there's sort of a set donation that if you wanted to, you could get right now for items ranging $25 for this authentic, still in its original wrapper, John McCain action figure. And really, why would you not want this? I ask you. You should want it, and I could use the room. We've also still got some things. We've got some So among the items that are still available, a lot of the special packages, there's a Northside India, a local brewery package. It's a $250 donation of assortment of beer from multiple breweries. For a $150 donation, a coffee premier pack from some of the local coffee roasteries. A $500 donation, you get one of each, coffee and beer. Nothing better than caffeine and booze, right? Right. We also have a couple Cubs items, a couple Cubs packages that include game tickets and parking, a Blackhawks ticket, a Blackhawks package. The Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez 4-pack comic book package is still available. I am personally not a comic book nerd, but I know comic book nerds, and these things are already being bid on. So it's a $100 donation for all 4 of those. Any donation that you would like to give over $100, you will actually get an NDFA mask, and I probably should have worn mine so that you could see what it looks like. But all of which will help keep. Oh, there we go. Thank you. The link that you see will take you to the page directly. We accept all forms of not all forms of virtual currency, because God knows we got Bitcoin, what we could do with it. But anyway, any donation, it will certainly help us. It'll help us keep these streaming. We are creating a YouTube page with some of our some of the items, some of the shows that we've seen. We will have the benefit, including the Jill Wine-Banks interview and my DB comedy puppet recreation of the Rod Blagojevich calls available. So any help that you give, thank you. Any help.
And don't forget the hot sauce.
And the hot sauces, yes. Tabasco donated every hot sauce you could possibly imagine, also available. So go to those pages, and that would be awesome. So one of the judges that Kelly Cassidy was talking about that we want to knock off that Ed Mullen is much as a Judge Arojo, Aroujo, something about sexual harassment. Okay.
That'll do it every time.
Okay, indeed. And actually, okay, so we're getting a note that the link may be broken, but don't worry, just email us. Let us know what you want. We will set you up with one of the items that are still online. I think that's it as far as all of the Ray, go for it. You've got the final disclaimers.
Question to keep people in suspense so they'll come back next month, which is, does working for national DFA candidates that we haven't endorsed count towards our NDFA membership? And we will be able to tell you next month, if not sooner. Okay, corny, but
well, that's because I goad you to be corny, Ray. So I'll take the blame for that.
I was trying to think of a smooth transition or something clever, and nothing came to mind.
Okay. Oh, actually, okay. I've been told NorthsideDFA.com/auction_details it is still working. So that the link is working, and I'm actually going to copy it, and if we can post it one more time, Jerome, so people can kind of see that as we wrap up the meeting. Ray, take us home. Take us home, Ray.
Okay. I think, thanks everybody for showing up and all your inputs on the comments page. And we will see you next month on October 14th.
Keep working for our candidates. Joe Biden was endorsed. Sean Casten was endorsed. So
yes,
help them all out. And
be there or be square.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.